fantastic 2 seasons with Alfa Romeo Sauber. But as of today, the Brazilian Grand Prix of Season 2, I'll officially be saying goodbye. Gonna miss the team, the rivalries, the challenges, the rise, the falls, all of it. But from now on, we're going to be taking on a new challenge. We're going to be restoring an icon. I can't wait for you guys to join me.
Welcome back. I hope you kept yourself fighting fit. We've got another tough season ahead of us.
Welcome back, guys, to Season 3 of Career Mode. Just welcome back to Career Mode in general. I know there's been a lengthy break between this episode and the last episode going out. I feel like for me, the break was needed. Quite simply and brutally, honestly, Season 2 of the Sauber Career Mode was too easy for me, and I needed that challenge again. I needed to just have a break, come back, and now I feel like I'm ready to take on the challenge of Career Mode again. I did want a new challenge. It's not just the fact that Williams offered me a record $100 million a year deal to drive for them. So it's not all about the money. So stop the comments. Doing a Daniel Ricciardo of 2019, shall we say. But man, we have a lot of work to do. Look at the Williams in regards to its performance level versus the rest of the field. This is going to be the most difficult challenge I've ever uptaken in a Career Mode in history. Look at the gap from Haas to us, and then from Haas to Toro Rosso. Just catching Haas is going to be maybe a season-long journey of trying to develop the car and draw more performance out of myself, draw more performance out of the R&D departments. It's going to be quite the challenge. And if you guys are like me at the end of last season, you were bored of seeing me win every single time, well, guess what? Those times are a long way away from here.
Hope you're sitting comfortably, mate. We've got a sensor issue, and we're going to be stuck here for a while as we fix it.
So here we are then for the Australian Grand Prix. We have a sensor fault to kick off this Career Mode. Unreliability already rearing its ugly head. But yeah, let's see what we can do in this first practice session. We'll suss out this car, see just how bad it is. Bear in mind, this is 3 seasons into the Career Mode, so Williams have done some work in the background the last 2 years to make it somewhat better. They have upgraded their aerodynamics a little bit. From what I saw, they've done some chassis redistribution. They've done a couple things to the power unit, but otherwise there's still a lot more room for improvement. So it's going to be our goal to make this a race-winning car as quickly as we can. I'm not going to sit down here and promise that I'm going to stick this out until we win the championship or the constructors. Honestly, we've already done that. I feel like for me, I'm going to continue this series as long, or with this team, shall I say, as long as it's challenging and exciting. And if we start dominating, then we might look at something else. But that could be 1 season, 2 seasons, 5 seasons away. Other teams are still going to develop as much as they have. But it's our goal now to catch them. So we'll see how it goes. I feel like there's just that much bigger gap between us and the rest of the field now. So much more so than what it was when we started the Sauber Career Mode. At Sauber, we were just set up to succeed right from the outset. We had major upgrades to choose right from the first race, whereas here at Williams, you have to grind quite hard to get down to those bigger, more powerful upgrades. But we'll see how it goes. We're doing our first laps here, just getting a feeler of the car, building up those resource points, because we're starting from square one again, 0 points. It was a shame that I wasn't able to spend the points on Sauber before I left the team, because I would have made them even stronger, possibly, to increase the challenge, but it wasn't to be. But so far, just settling into this car. It is a little bit tail happy, I will say that much. The downforce seems quite decent.
What happened? Let me know you're okay.
Oh dear, that's our first crash of the season. And I gotta tell you guys, I wasn't really pushing. It was just the track acclimatization, just hitting the marks, and maybe went in a little bit too fast, touched the curb, and that was game over for our session. So not the start to the season that I wanted. I needed that session to build up those resource points, but disappointing. Not even a single lap set. So I have no idea what this car is truly like.
Well, things didn't really go your way today. Tell us what happened.
You had a mishap in practice. Will this affect qualifying or race day? Were those faults a bad omen for qualifying and the race?
Appreciate your time.
I'm glad you're not hurt, but that's a lot of damage for us to fix up to get you out for the next session. Try and keep it in one piece next time, would you?
Yeah, sorry, man. That's just my bad. I can't afford to be crashing like that in a team that is very limited on resources. It's not been a great period for Williams, not getting much prize money in the constructors, after having quite a few bad seasons, and if we don't turn it around, then it could be really bad. But hopefully that can be the only incident we have all weekend. I need to be a lot more careful through there. As I say that, I completely run over the curb at the fast chicane. But, you know, getting a feeler of the car, even after one lap, I could tell it wasn't horrible. There are a lot of people who do Williams career modes or drive the stock Williams and say, oh, it's really bad. I've driven it myself in online in 2018 performance, and it doesn't feel that bad. You can feel this thing, it does have a lot more downforce than what it started off the career mode with. The only thing is it's a little bit unbalanced. It's hard to say. It's kind of like chassis. Like, there's the power delivery of this car is a bit inconsistent. Like in second and third gear, you can get a burst of wheel spin randomly. I'm not too sure what that's about, so we might have to invest a bit more time into weight redistribution, weight reduction. I don't know, it's a bit odd, but you can see Williams have actually worked on a lot of their chassis, most of it being weight redistribution. The only thing left to upgrade is the ultimate upgrade, which I hope will cure that ailment of the car, but there's a lot still remaining in terms of weight reduction, so we might go down that path. But it's time for qualifying.
Welcome to Melbourne, where qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix should be getting underway shortly.
Right, it's not going to be easy getting into the next qualifying session, but we know you'll give it your all.
Alright then, it is time for the first competitive session of the season. It's now time to find out exactly what this car is capable of. Heading into this season, Williams did 2 upgrades. I think one was downforce or drag reduction, it was the aero department, and one was power unit related. That was it. You know, we didn't move up a whole lot in terms of the car order, and from when I left off in Season 2, Williams was dead slow versus the rest of the pack. So this will be a difficult qualifying session. This will be a difficult first half of the season. That much is for certain, but I'm going to use my knowledge of this game, of the handling model, of the setups. Going to use all the tools at my disposal to try and drag this car up as much as I can, and really apply that human element to see if we can snag a point or 2 here or there. But early doors, it is not looking good. We are last out of everyone in qualifying. We're even being out-qualified by our teammate Lance Stroll, which is interesting. I think Australia is one of those more difficult circuits to beat the AI at when you're, you know, level in terms of performance, like comparing to your teammate, for example. So this could be a weekend where we end up last in qualifying. But the first half of this lap has been absolutely amazing, mind you. 4/10 up as we go through the middle sector split. Normally shift down to 6th gear. For some reason I held it in 7th, and we've lost a lot of time kind of bogging down on the run now into the 3rd sector. Through here, 4th gear, fairly nice exit there. But yeah, we're going to need to find, I don't know, 5-6 tenths maybe to find even more positions to try and jump the Haas cars, which are our nearest rivals through the final corner. Having to save a little bit of ERS because this track is quite brutal on that. We run out on the run up to the line, and I think it is last place still. So there you go. That is qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix. We do a 1 minute 20.1, which in Season 1 of career mode would have got me pole position. myself and Lance are the only 2 cars not to be sub 1 minute 20. Those lap times are absolutely ridiculous.
Great work out there today. How do you think it went? How are you finding things at your new team? Are you settling in?
Yeah, I'm getting there, but there's a lot of work to do.
How will not making Q3 affect your strategy tomorrow?
I said I was happy with Williams, yet my thing went down? What?
Appreciate your time.
How do I say that I'm happy at Williams and then my Williams rep go down? Do they know? Are they self-aware? Is this game self-aware, knowing that Williams is a absolutely horrible team, and they can tell that I'm lying or something? Can they understand sarcasm in the ads? That has blown me away. That has honestly blown me away. Okay, it's time for the Australian Grand Prix. Nothing to do. We have fresh power units. We can't spend anything resource points wise. We're going to the race where hopefully we can snag a point or 2.
New drivers, new cars, and a new Formula One season. But it's the same Albert Park that we've come to know and love for more than 2 decades now that hosts the first round of a 21 race championship, taking us from here in Melbourne, Australia, across the globe before we eventually reach the season finale at Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi. I'm joined today in the commentary box, as I will be throughout this season, by a great racing driver, former F1 competitor, and who was world champion once upon a time as well, and an all-round top chap. It's the one and only Anthony Davidson. And tell me, here we are, first Grand Prix of the season, the first time racing these cars. So what are the big questions that need to be answered here, in your view?
First of all, Crofty, and thanks for the glowing introduction. I just want to say it's a real privilege to be here, and I can't wait to see what this competitive field has in store for us this season. Now, to answer your question, obviously there's the question of performance in race trim, but really this is going to be all about reliability. It's the first Grand Prix of the season, don't forget. You're pushing all your new components to their limits. Formula One cars are full of very sophisticated but also very sensitive technology. So the most important thing today is to get to the end of the race, keep everything in good condition, and try to stay out of trouble while you're at it.
Okay, new season, and we're starting at the back. Let's see if we can do better in the race.
What is up, guys, and welcome to the grid of the Australian Grand Prix. Before we get things started, just take a listen. Does that guy sound familiar to you? I can't quite put my finger on it, I'm not sure. But anyway, it's time for the race. Race strategy is the super soft tyres going onto the softs as well. We have the luxury of making it an easy one-stop for us. I don't know if the same can be said for some of the front-running teams who qualified on the ultra soft tyres. We'll just have to play the waiting game and see if opportunities present themselves later. But it's time for this race now. 5 red lights. And it is go time for a new era for Williams F1 team. From the back row of the grid, mind you. We've all got to start somewhere. Into turn 1, nice and cautious. There's no real positions to be gained there. A bit of a roadblock formed by my teammate and Grosjean as well. Stroll is going to have to be very compliant with me and the team to, rebuild this team. We've got a lot of work to do. We can't afford to get, tangled up in fighting for pride when we're not even fighting for points. We can't afford to have any crashes, DNFs. We need to get as many points as possible to build up the Constructors' Prize money and set up ourselves for Season 4. Up the inside, it looks like we're going to go on Magnussen and Van Dorn. That's 3 wide into turn number 8, I think it is. And that is job done for us. We're still not in the points, not anywhere near it. We still need to find a few more positions, but hopefully as this race unfolds, we might be able to find more places due to other people squabbling, really suffering in terms of tyre wear. This Williams car has actually got a lot of tyre wear upgrades applied to the car, actually more than Sauber, and I thought we were OP in terms of tyre wear, so I'm really interested to see what this means for our race pace once we become a little bit more even with some of these guys like Haas, Toro Rosso, McLaren. But early doors, it's going to be really, really tough to fight it with these guys. I hope that in the second half of this race, we'll be able to fight a little bit harder, given that everyone else's tyres will wear out faster than ours. However, I am still a little bit worried about that issue with the power delivery inconsistencies. That's going to be a real problem at some technical circuits, but Max Verstappen is out of this Grand Prix only 5 laps in. I've noticed a few people in qualifying as well. Hang on a second, we've got Grosjean diving up our inside. He goes for the move. The annoying thing about being overtaken by the AI is that when they overtake you, they drive like Muppets as soon as they get in front of you, and it's just... I'm trying to get on with my race, and it would be a lot easier if we could just cooperate a lot more. He'd overtake me and then get on with it instead of bottling it right in front of me. This is a big thing that was happening in the first stint of this race. These guys would continuously overtake me. Look at Van Dorn's overspeed on that back straight. Watch, he'll go up the inside here. But then it just doesn't get a great exit. He's squeezing me off here. My teammate is going to get involved as well. And that's another place drop. So the early fighting, the early positions I've gained, I thought it was helping my race. But just look at this. He bottles it next corner. What are you doing, son? Back in the P16. Those positions that I gained, it's just ended up costing me more race time, if that makes sense. If I would have just, I don't know, stuck behind them from the start, we would have been closer to the midfield runners in the points, which was really annoying. But I was going to say something and I've forgotten my point already. I'm sure I'll remember it later. Actually, yeah, it was about the power delivery. It's very inconsistent in like second and third gear. Sometimes you can get a lot of wheel spin. That's going to be a real troublesome spot in circuits like Baku or just other rear limited circuits. Australia is a little bit like that through, I don't know, Sector 2, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue, hopefully. Hopefully the tyre wear upgrades that we do have applied can counteract the problems we have with the chassis. But 10 laps into this Grand Prix, we're in P13. A lot of the front runners are starting to make their stops. We're doing the overcut, obviously, starting on the middle compounded tyre. So everyone else who's kind of around us as well might be stopping slightly earlier than us. We could run a little bit longer on this faster tyre, but we'll wait and see how it goes. We're currently in that awkward period of awkward positioning in the order where the leaders are losing track position to me and then they have to re-overtake me. So I kind of have to let them go through without them holding me up because I'm in my own race as well, and I've just got to manage that as best I can. It is a lot easier to let these guys go through because they're so much faster, they have fresher tyres, even if they do bottle it, they still even don't hold me up that much. So that's really good to see, and I can actually save a little bit of fuel, a bit of my ERS, and that'll allow me to push a little bit more in the second half of the race. But in terms of fuel, it's fine. I can run with rich fuel mixture, and I barely lose any fuel at all, so that isn't a worry. The thing that's actually harming me the most is the ERS, and that might be an area we need to work on in future episodes because I need to run really high ERS modes to keep whoever's behind me, and I burn it all up, and then I have nothing left after 2 or 3 laps of pushing. So that is an issue for the moment, but we've got much bigger issues, much bigger pace issues in general to look after before we can even think about ERS. But first stint done, we rejoin in P18. So getting some points today is going to be mightily tough. We undercut our teammate by 1 lap. It looks like Stroll is actually going to come dangerously close to getting the position off of us, which was interesting. He's got 1 lap fresher tyres now for the remainder of this Grand Prix, and he'll be a tough old cookie to keep behind us. But we're going to get on with the job, do what we can, hope that there's retirements ahead, or maybe a safety car, and then we might have half a chance of scoring a point today. But I'm fighting for whatever minor victories I can get at the moment, and that's holding up my teammate, I suppose. I mean, if we were closer to the point, say P12, P13, I probably would let Lance go if it was faster, but it's looking like we're probably not going to score points unless there's something miraculous like a safety car. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes. It's almost going to be 3 wide now on the run into turn 3. Stroll might get me here. You guys, the inside for the next left-hander. It's side by side for the 2 of us. Very, very close quarters there, and we hold on just about. So testing the inter-team relationship very early on in this career mode. I didn't think I'd be fighting with Lance this hard. That's a bit of a wheel spin moment for me there. A bit too greedy on the curb on the penultimate corner, and now that's left us pretty vulnerable on this start-finish straight here and heading on to lap 18. Stroll goes around the outside, and I think this time he's got me. So We'll follow him through for now. Let's stick in his slipstream, see if he can drag us along in this race, and we can pull away from Van Dorn hopefully. But his straight line speed is amazing. That's one thing I noticed today in this episode, in this race. It's just the AI was so fast in a straight line. The slipstream was just working so well for them. It's a problem in career mode as well. You can be very similar pace to people around you, but when they're in the slipstream, they're just absolutely all over you, and that was the case today here, even with the AI. So having to do a lot in terms of fuel burn, in terms of ERS management to keep him behind, but he came dangerously close to overtaking me there in the turn one. We'll get a replay of that, because I believe he was literally alongside as we were at the apex of turn one. Under braking, yeah, pretty much grazing my right rear tyre there, so that was very brave of me to turn in, despite the fact that Stoffel was there. We got away with it, and now I think I might push the envelope even further. I'm into overtake mode, rich fuel mixture. I might go up the inside of my teammate here, Lance Stroll, into turn 3. It's side by side, not quite alongside either, so it was a bit of a clumsy move. Lance holds on to P16. Once again, Stoffel is all over me here, as I think Charles Leclerc is actually lapping all of us. I dive up the inside of my teammate. He pulls out of the way of the race leader, and now it's me versus my former teammate, Charles Leclerc, heading on to the last 5 laps of this Australian Grand Prix. I turn it down into medium, only medium, and he soars past me in a straight line. That was absolutely ridiculous how fast that Sauber was. No wonder we were dominating as much as what we were at the back end of Season 2. My goodness. We have got some work to do to catch up with that spaceship. But we'll see what a season of development can do for this car. If it can work for the Sauber, eventually it might work for us. Penultimate lap now. Actually, last lap of the Grand Prix for us, because we've been lapped. There's a yellow flag up ahead. That's Kimi Räikkönen, who was out, and oh no, it's Charles. Charles out. So we are back on the lead lap of this Australian Grand Prix. Embarrassment has been somewhat taken away from us, but it's only temporary. Unfortunately, there is no replay of what happened between Räikkönen and Leclerc. A bit of tension there between those guys. Obviously, them two swapping seats for the 2019 season. There's just this problem where I can't switch to whoever's retired. I was just too far past that, but we're having a titanic battle there with Van Dorn into turn 1. I squeezed him right up against the white lines, came back onto the racing line, did him round the outside, and now it's a side-by-side affair for us into the third sector of the last lap of this Australian Grand Prix. I don't have much left in terms of ERS, but looks like we might just about have him covered here through the final corner. A lot of understeer up to hot lap and overtake. Van Dorn has got a great run on us though, and he's going to get us across the line. The P15, ladies and gentlemen, that is the tightest battle you will see for no points.
Brilliant stuff from Sauber today. What a superb victory. And Anthony Davidson, give me your thoughts. How did they accomplish this result?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
Looks like they're on their way out to the podium now, and what a result this is, and what a popular one with the crowd as well. Great stuff to see the Sauber team on top here today.
What a podium. Marcus Ericsson winning the Australian Grand Prix with Nico Hülkenberg getting his first podium in Formula 1. I don't know what has happened in this race to dislodge all of the front-running teams, well, besides Sauber. Ericsson is just somewhat of an anomaly to see him winning, despite the drastic skill gap between him and Leclerc. But whenever Leclerc is going to have a bad day, your man Marcus Ericsson is going to be the one who picks up the pieces. That is a huge sway in the championship. This championship really should be for Leclerc. It's his to win, given how much of an advantage his team has and how much faster he is than his second driver. It's going to be a walk in the park, surely. Even though he's come away with no points today, he's got to be a favourite for the championship. But Ericsson keeps it interesting. It's 15th place for us, which is the team objective. So thankfully we still got that, but it would have been a good bonus for us to get P14, because I actually have this hard objective set by the team. It's a different objective, But if I actually would have got 14th place there, I would have been given 600 resource points after the next race. So heading into Bahrain, the most difficult circuit on the F1 calendar to compete with the AI. If you've seen Tierra Limitless's video and just watched career mode videos in general, it's going to be nigh on impossible to get points.
Good day today. Tell us about it from your perspective. Are you missing your old team?
Obviously. But I'm going to be nice to Williams. Thankfully, they are nice to me back and reward me with a bit of reputation increase. But guys, that has been this episode for today, the Australian Grand Prix. First episode of Season 3 and first little adventure with Williams. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 2018 content. It's going to be a big old journey. I can't stress this enough. Like how far behind the 8 ball we are. It can't be... I can't put into words or stress how importantly far behind we are than the rest of the other teams. Like, we have upgrades. Yes, it may look like we're kind of close when you look at that bar there, but a lot of the upgrades we've done are tire wear, like weight redistribution, which doesn't do that much for performance. When you take those out and you move us further back to really correspond with it where our pace really is, we are a long way behind any other team. But I feel like we've got a good qualifying car. That much is for certain. Rear tire wear can be a problem for us with that, I don't know, the wheel spin we get sometimes. Maybe in terms of driving style, I'll be able to iron that out and fix that. Tire wear upgrades are decent, but in terms of the longevity, I feel like battery usage is horrible. We don't have still that much downforce despite the car feeling good. And straight line speed seems to be an issue because we're overtaken left, right, and center. So that's going to be a few issues we need to sort in the first half of this season just to get competitive. Hopefully we'll snag a few points here and there, get a bit lucky with safety cars and AI mishaps here and there, and we can make an interesting first season of this Williams career mode. So thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe. It's going to be a challenge, and I very much look forward to it. But I'm going to stop waffling now. Until the next one, the Bahrain Grand Prix. Do not expect any miracles from that racetrack. But heading into China, I feel like that's when our season will start. Until then, see you next time.